Hello, everybody, and welcome in to the Penny Bloom podcast. You are back for Rebellion's Bloom, where we continue our Star Wars show covering The Bad Batch. Today is season 3, episode 5, titled The Return. I am Colton Robertson. I am joined by Joseph George. What's up, homie?
Oh, what up? What up? Always a pleasure to be here.
Oh, and it's always a pleasure to have you. We got another goodie today. We got another goodie. It's always nice to kick off the day with the Bad Batch. I love it. I
Mm,
love it dearly. And this was so far this season a particularly good feeling one.
yeah.
Particularly good feeling. It's
Mm-hmm.
nice, nice. The return. We're back. We are so back.
Am I wrong for expecting something bad to happen because of how good the episode was going? Because I don't know. I was like, man, this feels pretty great. There was some conflict. There was some moments of, I didn't think Hunter was about to go. It
Mm,
crossed my mind for a minute. I'm like, really? I'm like, hold on. This episode has been too good. I'm like, no way we're actually going here. But then I'm like,
we
no.
just randomly kill off
And then
Hunter.
I'm
No,
like, no. I'm like, this is no way. And
I
then
think there's I mean, like, we're on an Imperial base, they're using Imperial equipment. There's all sorts of pings and bloops and blops getting sent out from a formerly Imperial base. Feels like that would alert the Empire to their presence a bit.
okay, there you go. A little I didn't think I didn't think I could go anywhere with this episode, It was just kind of they're back together. They have a little bit more intel. We're not even really going back to Tantus
I'm
right
assuming
away,
there's some
but
sort of,
mhm.
Nala Se's tablet gets brought back online. I'm assuming Hemlock's kind of looking for that, you know?
Uh-oh.
Yeah. So I think that
That's not good.
they're leaving a trail whether they want to or not. Like they have to do it, but
Mhm. When
like
Hemlock
I think that it will be
finds
for
out,
sure that they know they were here. Um,
yeesh.
which
Well,
which makes
luckily
sense.
it's abandoned and
Yeah, they
like,
got out of there. So
mhm, they are gone. It was nice to be at Pabu for a little bit. That's where we opened. Oh man, was it?
it was nice. It was nice.
I opened the episode, so I'm like, I didn't know, I didn't realize. Like I was just awake, and I'm like, I didn't know Batch was out. I'm just like kind of mindlessly scrolling through my phone while I'm awake, and you're like, oh yeah, no, it's a Bad Batch time, and I'm like, oh, yeah, no,
Yeah,
it's
after we went back and forth about some Dune lore
mhm.
for about 10 minutes,
Yeah,
I was like, "Okay, I gotta pivot. It's the Bad Batch,
yeah,
baby."
it is Bad Batch time, and then I'm like, oh, I gotta get into it. So I got excited, but then I got my remote, and then I got back into bed, and I got all cuddled up, and then I got the episode on, and then I see Omega wake up in the ship, all cuddled up
Mm,
with her. Is there a name for this doll?
Lula.
Lula. I figured there was, but like all cuddled up with
Mhm.
Lula, and I'm like, oh man, like this is a perfect way to start the episode,
Oh,
perfect
it's
way to start
perfect.
the
It's
morning.
perfect.
I'm like, this is just so good, and
And I appreciate that they never pick up exactly where we left off, even on a cliffhanger like last episode left us with. I thought maybe we would cut open like on the same shot, basically, like them kind
mm,
of tentatively looking at each other.
yeah,
I appreciated that we just got the fuck out of there.
mm-hmm.
We're on Pabu, and they just kind of address it as, Crosshair's adjusting. He wasn't here when we woke up. It is what it is. I love that Wrecker doesn't have any beef. He's like, Omega trusts her, or Omega
That's good
trusts
enough
him.
for me.
That's kinda good for me, and Hunter obviously still a little skeptical, but the way they handle that tension in this episode
Mm.
is really, really well done. The way Crosshair calls out Hunter for being like, "And you're
Whoa,
just mad that you didn't get to save her, that I had to help her." Um,
I didn't realize that. I thought he was just kind of mad at the decisions Crosshair made previously. Just being all pro Empire for a little bit and everything. I thought that was the beef totally, but I think Crosshair is definitely like he.
there's some
Yeah,
truth to
I
it. I
don't
don't think
think
it's
Crosshair
full.
is
Yeah,
100% right. I don't think
right.
that's the only reason Hunter has any beef with him, but I do think there's some of that coming from it.
No, for
And
sure. There's a grain of truth there, he's always like, we've acknowledged it for seasons now. This is the dude who, if there is a dad, like, I
Mhm.
think they're all kind of her dad, and I think season 2 kind of did that.
Yeah.
But this one, like, from day one, Hunter's been, like, her protector specifically. So I think that him being helpless in the time she was gone, her finding them, he feels kinda useless, you know? I think there's a bit of that going
Wow.
on with Hunter.
Yeah,
Um
he's the outcast now, which is
Mhm.
really weird. Like season 1, he's the main guy, you know.
Yeah.
That's we I don't know, we all were trying to find ways to give the other characters the spotlight whenever it was always just Hunter and Omega. That was it. But now
Mhm.
like Hunter is really kind of struggling to
Keep up a little
yeah,
bit.
like even Wrecker, I don't know. Wrecker's um he's still not
He's still
like
record.
yeah, I want him to be like a little more important still somehow. I don't know how. He's just kind of the feel good. You know, he's just I don't know, always happy. And maybe he should just stay that way. Maybe he doesn't need to get
And,
more
you know,
complex than that.
they gave him his arc in season 1 that created a little conflict with his chip kind
Mm.
of
Mhm.
going haywire, and ever since then, I mean, that's just not Wrecker's personality to be too deeply,
Yeah.
conflicting, you know? He's just kinda like, Omega says, "I trust Crosshair, he helped me get out of there." Wrecker's like, "That's fine by me," you know? Like, that's just kinda the guy he is, you know? And I think that's perfect for him, and I think that works, and it creates a much more interesting arc um, for Hunter and Crosshair in this one.
Mhm.
Their dynamic was wonderful. I absolutely loved it. I loved seeing Crosshair don the armor again. That was sweet. I absolutely
Oh,
adored that. The music swell and him, like, walking into the
his
light, super dope.
theme, dude. Oh my
Yeah.
god. The freaking like, Kiner Music, man, you know, and I love I'm, like, glued to their Twitter account now every time that there's a new
Mhm.
episode. And this one, you know, I had the notion that I was gonna be in the feels, this episode, and, I feel like I was right. A
Different
good
kind of
feels.
feels.
Good feels, though.
Mhm.
And man, every time Crosshair's theme came on, um, just, like it's crazy how much music can really change a moment, or not change it, but
Mhm.
just enhance the
Enhance it.
feelings and everything, and you know, because he's having all these memories flood back, and you know, I'm like the same for the viewer as well. You're having to remember, you know, what Crosshair went through on this planet, and you know, he doesn't want to talk about it. And, you know, Hunter's like, "Come on, what the fuck?" Kind of, you know, reminded me of when Batman and Catwoman are up on the roof, and you know he's like, "Come on, tell
Mhm.
me," you know, it's like because he's my father, or what, you know, it's like,
Yeah.
oh, he's like, "Oh fuck, man, oh, I
Ah,
didn't know
okay.
that like
Yeah.
that's what was going on," you know, I felt like it's kind of that,
Killed an imperial officer.
yeah, and
Yeah, it was
he's like, "Oh, not the
okay.
yeah, a little bit more
You are
drawn out and not as feely. I don't know. They're still kind of very dudes to each other, you know.
oh, for sure.
They're still, you know, they have their nod at the end, you know, after Crosshair pulls him out of the worm tunnel. Crazy timing with this one. I don't,
Little Shy Halud cameo
you
there.
know, is that a little,
The timing of the release is pretty funny,
you
yeah.
know,
I
like,
doubt it was intentional, but yeah,
I mean,
it is
come on though. Like Star Wars inspired by Dune, the last episode did not have a worm. Dune comes out in between last episode and this one. We have a thing literally called a worm.
mhm,
WYRM. It's on an
yeah,
ice planet. Maybe it's like maybe they're trying to say they're like, look, this is how, you know, yes, we took inspiration from Dune heavily, you know, but like look how different we are now. Like we can have a worm on an
mhm,
ice planet, and it makes perfect sense in Star Wars. Um, I don't know. It's a lot of my. I mean, all I'm seeing is Dune on my timeline everywhere,
yeah,
and
me
since I
too.
am also a Star Wars fan, I'm also seeing a lot of like hate kind of on Star Wars, saying like, "Oh, look,
Mhm.
George like stole all of this from Dune and made it into his movies and everything." And it's like
It's
he pulled
sci-fi,
from
man.
so many different sources as well. It's not like he just did like yes, it is crazy. Like the similarities are kind of crazy now that they're being pointed out to
No,
me.
no,
But
I
it's
mean,
not
like,
like
there
I'm
are
gonna be like, oh, now I hate Star Wars forever because it's pulled
no.
from also
The thing
good
about Star Wars
sci-fi.
is
You
that
know?
it's really archetypical storytelling. It's very, very fairy tale, good and evil. It's very black and white, where I don't think Dune is quite so black and white, you know? And I think that,
Mm-hmm.
there's also people say that A New Hope is a carbon copy of The Hidden Fortress by Akira Kurosawa. So it's like,
Mm,
what is it that he copied word for word? You know?
yeah.
You wanna tell me what it is that he had like, if you can point to all these different things that clearly influenced him, then
Yeah.
they're very little more than just
And
influence, and don't get me wrong, like, I think George Lucas is a great creative mind. I think he has a great, um, uh, sense for grandiose storytelling, um,
mm-hmm.
but like, I think there's a clear thing there where I don't think he's as talented writer as Frank Herbert and, the storytelling in Dune, and I don't think he's as talented a
Mm-hmm.
filmmaker as Kurosawa with The Hidden Fortress. So he has to belly up and do something
Gotta know your
fantastical,
strengths,
epic, and
I guess,
yeah, exactly. That's a
and
different thing.
it's kind of this endless cycle of inspiration. It
That's
where
all art is.
Dune, the writer, was inspired by whatever at the time that inspired him to write. Are you gonna say that he stole whatever inspired him in that moment? No, it's all this endless cycle. And look how much Star Wars has inspired to this day. Like look how many movies Star Wars has inspired, and then now we're getting this new movie that will inspire so many more to be made. It's
Yeah.
it's it's
No,
all
it's really cool the cycle of inspiration, especially between Dune
yeah.
and Star Wars. The original Dune books inspire the Star Wars saga, and then the Star Wars saga inspires the Dune movies, and these movies in turn will likely inspire future Star Wars shit.
Oh
And I
yeah.
think that's really cool.
That's
I
why I
think
thought the timing of this worm was a little too on the nose. And I don't know if I was looking a little too deep into it, but I was like, maybe this is their way of kind of
I think it's a
getting
little
at it.
convenient. We end right before May 4th. Dune 2 got delayed to March 1st.
Oh, okay. That's true. Yeah,
So
no,
I'm not even
okay.
sure if it's like, but they didn't
Actually,
announce the
okay.
release
To
date
think
for The
the
Bad Batch
timing,
until after Dune got delayed. I
yeah.
think that,
To
it's just
think
the
the
Force.
planning
The
that
Force
has
works
to
in
go into
mysterious
that,
ways.
it's impossible. There's no way like
Mhm.
they actually were like, okay, so we
Especially
know
basing it
Dune.
off an entirely different company's release structure. Um,
Mm-hmm.
no, yeah,
Yeah.
but I mean, like, the Force, man, it works in
I'll
mysterious
make
ways.
oh, that's what I'll
Yeah,
go with. That's
yeah,
a lot
yeah.
better than
We
than
have,
them
we
planning
got
it.
a little Shai Hulud
As
cameo.
it
It
was
got us a
written.
little bit as it was
Ah,
written.
it's
Lisan al-Gaib.
yes, thank you.
But,
I need my cheat
regardless,
sheet. I need my cheat sheet now.
yes,
I don't
yes.
have it yet, but
But no, we got some great moments in this one. I loved, the beginning was particularly good on Pabu. We've gotten every little moment, and I've been wanting so badly whenever she asks Crosshair, "So what is there beyond,
mm,
good sight?" And he teaches her briefly, gives her a mini lesson on sniping.
yeah,
And we'd gotten that with Tech, we'd gotten that with Hunter, we'd gotten a little bit with Echo and Wrecker, so it was nice to see Crosshair finally have one of those moments with Omega. They've kinda just been in the shit together. They've never had a chance to kinda
mm,
just calm down and hang out for a little, so it was nice to see Crosshair even kinda be like, you know, well,
yeah.
like,
They're
imparting wisdom that he has in his own regard,
they're
which I
hitting it
really.
off pretty well. They're hitting off. I mean, Omega and Crosshair are doing better than Hunter and Crosshair, or
Mhm.
I mean, Hunter and Omega. At this point, honestly, to me, like it's. I mean, maybe not. I guess Hunter is just being talked to less a little bit right now. Like Crosshair's a little bit more on focus because they just escaped Tantus together. I
Yeah.
think that's
He needs
that's
a
why.
little bit more support.
Yeah, and Omega knows that Crosshair is not going to meld well. I think so. She knows she's gonna have to be this middle ground, between the two. But man, wasn't it just nice just to see everyone in their armor again? We don't have Tech, which
Mm,
did stink, and we did have a moment at Pabu where I think is it Echo who acknowledged or who says
I'm pretty sure it was Omega, or no, it was Echo. It was
Echo
Echo.
saying, "Oh
He's
yeah,
like,
the intel's going to
it'll
be
be
a
a
lot
lot more
harder to
difficult.
gather, especially without tech." And then like
Mhm.
just to like a pause, like the camera like zooms out, it shows everybody, and everyone's just kind of like, "Oh man," and
Almost across, I think there's eventually gonna be some sort of conflict where Hunter I mean, Hunter is very clearly bitter, and with good reason, I don't think that, while us as the viewer can understand Crosshair a little bit better, like, he's not as informed on Crosshair as we are. He doesn't know the shit Crosshair's been through, so, like, I think that there's gonna be a conflict eventually where Hunter almost resents Crosshair for mourning Tech a little bit, like,
like you
maybe
don't
it wouldn't have
deserve
happened. Yeah, maybe it
like,
wouldn't have happened if you'd have chose the right side, maybe it wouldn't
oh,
like,
maybe it
that
should have
sort of
been
thing.
you. Oh
Yeah, that
shit,
sort of
maybe something
stuff.
bad comes out
Um
like
Yeah.
okay.
That's
Hmm.
so, like, I think that something like that could happen, but I loved the shot whenever they linger on Crosshair when he says that, Crosshair just kinda looks away, like, he just like, he looks away from the table and doesn't really show emotion, but, like, that's his showing emotion,
Hmm.
um, and, I appreciated that a great deal. I loved, I mean, yeah, Crosshair was just kind of a highlight this week. I loved whenever he stacked up all the helmets of the men he
Hmm.
lost in that episode in season 2.
What was Hunter
It
about to
was,
do there? Like, Hunter was walking up on him, and then he saw that he was stacking up the helmets, and then he's like, "Oh, okay. Like, I'll walk away." Like, was he just kinda spying on him? Was he just checking out what he's
He was
doing?
just kinda
Is
spying
that
on him.
it? Or
Um,
because like, he was kinda
I mean, are you
walking with
implying to
intent.
assassinate him?
No, no. I thought, like, maybe he was just I don't it looked like it wasn't just, I wanna talk to him in private," or "I wanna spy on him." It kinda looked like, "I kinda wanna beat the shit out," like, I don't know, like, I want to start a fight with this guy, like, a little bit.
Mm.
Like, he was like, he saw his opportunity. The second Crosshair, like, started walking alone, Hunter was like, "Alright. No, I'm following. Like, I got my eyes on you." Like, I don't know, maybe I was,
I think it was more
um,
that since they're in an Imperial base that Crosshair only knows about, he wants to make sure Crosshair's still
uh,
on their
okay.
side, like, he's not, like, alerting somebody, he's not doing
Mhm.
something that he's not supposed to be doing, and then he realizes I think that's kind of a moment where he realizes Crosshair still has a heart, and I think it kinda
Hmm,
concerns him for a moment that he's mourning Imperials, like, for like, a half second,
okay.
you see, like,
True.
concern flicker across his face whenever he's stacking up stormtrooper helmets,
Mhm.
but I think that Hunter ultimately has to remind himself that they were clones still at that point, so I think that there's still there's a part of him that still loves his brothers, and I think he realizes that, and I think huge help to him going forward, I think that, like, I think the resentment is far from being buried. Like, I think that we're still gonna have to deal with that quite a
Mhm.
bit, like I said, but I think this was a forward for them, Crosshair being able to I think the Empire's gonna find them. I think Hunter's gonna project hard, assume Crosshair had something to do with them finding him,
Okay.
like, I think that that's ult like, I think Hunter is ultimately going to every time something goes wrong, just kind of assume Crosshair had something to do with it until
Mm.
they have it out officially. Like, they have a little bit of a spat during this, but it gets interrupted. I think they're gonna have words for real eventually, because that's kind of been, a problem for the Bad Batch is that they don't talk to each other about anything particularly meaningful ever, They do just kind
Oh.
of No, what are you
Oh.
what are you thinking?
They're gonna have a falling out, but you know what's gonna bring them back together? Is text recordings
Text
of them
recordings,
being
goggles,
friendly
yeah.
to each other. Like, they're gonna see, like, "Oh my god. Look at who we like, look at who we
Look at who
used
we
to
used to
be."
be.
And, like, because
No,
I
and it
think
was
I think that's what will heal Crosshair eventually. Like, he's still having his, like, 53% or whatever
mm,
WZ said. Is that the robot you guys hate, or no? That's,
no, no, Toto.
Toto, okay, never mind. I don't know
Fuck
why.
Toto. I
Um,
love this guy.
okay, so is that WZ? Did I get that right? It felt like
It's
a
like
Z is in
it's
there. AZ maybe?
AZ, yeah.
AZ. Um, but Yeah, 53%, and Omega being like, AZ can look at your hand for you, and I don't think it's a medical problem. I think this is,
No, it's
he's putting
definitely
on his old
psychological.
armor. I think like he's gonna start shooting better, just being back with everybody, and he's being more honest, and he is like, I mean, he did open up here. He was like, I did make a lot of mistakes. He's like,
Mhm.
I thought I had something going with the Empire. Like I thought I was doing the right thing, but he's like,
Well, and again, there was nothing Crosshair could have done to control those thoughts.
mm,
He
yeah.
has an inhibitor chip. Like, there comes a point whenever, like, he still all the clones, until they are told,
Mm.
"You have an inhibitor chip, you are being controlled," don't know that that's what's happening.
So, like, wasn't that a point, like, it was ambiguous? Like, we didn't fully know whether he had it in him still or not?
Yes, but there's something they do to him after they say they've removed it
Mhm.
that doesn't really make sense to me unless
Yeah.
it's something with an inhibitor
I
chip.
wonder if we
Uh,
actually get confirmation, or if, like, we get him getting it taken out. Like, we have Echo, and maybe whenever they go back to Rex and all them, and I don't know, and I guess AZ maybe could scan and be
yeah,
like,
maybe he'll do,
"Oh."
like, a full body scan and be
He's
like,
like
"Oh, are you aware that you still have your inhibitor chip?"
he's like,
Um
Hello, what's up with that?" I guess
Mhm.
I guess
I
AZ
think that's
would.
a pretty good I bet that's a pretty good chance there is that AZ takes, like, a health scan of him and is like and I think that would be a big moment of relief for the entire group, you know? Hunter being like, "Oh, so you didn't choose that."
So it probably would
Crosshair
happen
being like,
later then.
"Yeah,"
We
and
probably need to
Crosshair
have
being
a
like,
falling out
"Oh,
first.
I didn't choose that." Like, I think it would help all of them, a great deal because I mean, like,
Oh,
I'm still of the mind
that's
that
gonna
he
be a
had his
moment.
inhibitor chip, and there's just nothing they can like, they just wear off after a while. Um, they've made that clear with a lot of clones. So, like,
I mean, I guess whether he gets it taken out now, like, there's no difference unless he gets captured by the Empire, I guess,
yeah,
and there's some way they could ramp it back up,
I would
um,
say it's more of a symbolic gesture, like taking it
to
out of
know
his head.
you're fully
Yes, like
you.
you are in control of your faculties.
Mm,
Um,
I like
because I
that.
mean, like, if there was anything they could do to the inhibitor chip, re-enhance it, they already would have done it to Crosshair. I think that like it's just kind of
Mm, okay, that's true.
I
Mhm.
think those things just kind of fry out after a while. Um,
Yeah,
but
it's only while your mind's young, maybe.
mm,
Um,
right. Yeah, I loved Omega calling Crosshair little brother. That was nice. Um,
yeah, that was funny. I'm technically older than you. Um,
little brother.
yeah.
Yeah, it was nice. I loved that. And I loved Crosshair whenever Hunter is in the tunnel and they're yelling. We got like just a tiny glimpse of D. Bradley Baker's Tech voice. Made me realize that Crosshair and Tech kind of had a lot of a
Hmm.
speech pattern kind of overlap. It was only when he was yelling that I was like, "Oh, there's a little Tech in there," um,
I
and it
really
was
hope we get those goggles in some way. Something, I don't know. Like, I need I need something, I don't know. Something. You know? Like, they have to do something, right? For him, like, you know? Like,
I
something
mean,
has to, like,
there's gotta be some
some.
sort of mourning. There's gotta be some like, I bet they're
Yeah.
like, "We never had time to mourn Tech."
Like, we never even got a funeral or, like, anything, like, at all, and I
Yeah, and I
need.
don't think that they did either? I don't think that that's something that they had a chance to do. So, I think it's inevitable that we get
Oh,
around to it, um,
do
and
they,
maybe that
like,
is just an
know it's a
end of the
thing?
season thing.
They know it's, like, a common practice that people do, right? It's not like they don't, it's just
A
that
funeral? Yeah, I'm assuming so.
they know, like.
Yeah, yeah. I gotta assume so. I mean, they attended Jedi funerals and shit when
Okay,
Jedi would die and stuff, like,
yeah.
I doubt that that's something that they're completely unfamiliar with. Um,
Yeah, you see shit in war, they've been
yeah,
around, like.
mhm. That's why I'm like and the thing is that literally they've constantly been doing things since Tech died. It's not like they've Like,
Yeah.
literally, there's a chance that we get that next episode.
Mm. Damn, maybe at
They're
Pabu
all
when they were all sitting there and they were like,
they're all
"Damn,
together for
we
the first time
really like,
sometime.
yeah, we really have lost tech, and like this has been the first. Like maybe
Mhm.
that pause is what they really felt. Oh man, I guess
No,
I
and
haven't
I
thought
like,
about that. They
they're
haven't
just
really had a
always doing,
chance
like,
to slow down at all.
after Tech died, they were, like, immediately on to the next thing. Omega gets captured, they immediately start to try and find her. They just found her, now they've gotta figure out how to get to Tantus, so they're gonna get to so, like, I think that it won't be until everything's wrapped up really, until we and odds are we're mourning more than just Tech by that point. Um,
No, no, they're all making it out, and they will all be on Tantus. All of
I
them.
sure hope so. Not
All of them.
Tantus.
Echo is not being killed by Darth Vader. It's not happening whatsoever. No, no. Echo has been through too much. He, you know what? If Echo dies by Darth Vader, I want him to poof like Obi-Wan. I want him to be like, no, like even in defeat, I will win somehow. He won't poof.
Mhm.
Like who knows? Maybe he has the M count. They never thought to test the
They never
droid
thought
clone.
that's Echo, yeah.
Yeah, but he's the fucking high M count.
I
He's
think
just
his victory in death would be, sacrificing himself for the people he loves and all of them getting away.
But how do you do that with Darth Vader? And just in I
I
guess
mean, we've
they could
seen
find a
it.
way. They could find a
I
way.
mean, I know that we've usually done it with Force sensitives, like, the Rebels crew did it, Kanan and Ezra escaped him once, Cal Kestis, got away from him, Obi-Wan Kenobi's gotten away from him, like, there's a lot of people who have gotten away from Darth Vader, and not to mention that these clones are modeled after Jango Fett, who was a Jedi hunting Mandalorian bounty hunter, so, like, they should have the capability of getting away from Vader, I would think, um, but,
This is fair.
like, so the thing is that I'm also like, I think we lose at least one other clone. I don't
Huh.
know who that is. I just think that in the 3rd and final season, for
You're
the only
right.
death to be the 2nd season finale, like,
I mean,
I don't
you're
know.
right. Like you're right,
And
and
the
that's
circumstances might be wrong, like, I'm not, like, putting all my eggs in the basket that Echo gets killed by Darth Vader, who we haven't even seen in this show, like, I don't think that that makes a lot of sense,
it's a
but I think that
guarantee.
someone's gonna die.
Yeah. No, I'm not putting all my eggs in the Darth Vader Echo basket either, but I do think it's pretty safe to bet that we're saying goodbye to someone else.
To at least
Um,
one other clone. I gotta guess. I just don't see it. I mean, like, I think we'll get a relatively happy ending. I think we're gonna get like, something that the Bad Batch has understood more than a lot of Star Wars in the Disney Plus era is the hope in the face of just utter despair. Like, when things seem hopeless, when nothing is going their way, it still maintains an element of hope. Um, and I think that, and not to say that other shows haven't understood that. I just think that this show understands it on a whole other level.
mhm.
I think that it really has that figured out. So I'd be willing to bet that we do face some serious, and we do face some serious death, and in the face of that, Omega will push forward, and that will kind of be
That's
the end of the show.
that's what like that's what I've been kind of thinking is where is Omega's end? Like what's her ending? What do we is
In
she
this
just
show,
is it Pabu?
or just period?
Is it yeah, like she doesn't die. Like no
No,
way.
no,
No way
that would
they
be
kill
insane.
Omega.
Uh,
She's
that
living.
would be the only choice in this show that I would think that regardless of how they do it would be actively bad.
Yeah.
Um,
Like no way she's captured by the Empire, at the end and
no. I say that if I mean, I talked about this last week. I don't see how it's possible she doesn't join the rebellion. I think that that's inevitable. I think that there's a certain, like, I'd be willing to bet she's there at the fall of the Empire on Endor, or at some other battle. Maybe she's at the Battle of Jakku or something. Like, I'd be willing to bet that
I
there
guess that
is.
could be cool. Maybe like at the very end, it shows that she joined a
Mhm.
historic,
I'm like, and my worst instinct is that everybody in the Bad Batch except Crosshair dies, including like and Omega with him. Um, and then they go off with Rex, who we know joins the rebellion. You know, at least
Mm,
temporarily.
okay. Oh man, that could be true. Like they were alone on Tantus, and maybe they're the only two that make it out together
Mhm.
now.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't want that. You know, I would like, because here's the thing: is that I don't want it, and I don't even know the next easy sacrifice is Wrecker.
But
Wrecker's
it's
fucking
almost
dead, bro.
I but I know, but it's almost too easy. You know? It's like it will hurt, most
Yeah.
definitely.
I think that's why it's also not like it circles back from being the most obvious to the least obvious because he's been so sweet and, loving and all this stuff that I think everyone would be like, well, of course he's the easy one, so of course they won't do that. But then like I genuinely think that Wrecker's death might hurt the most because of that fact. Um,
Oh man.
Aside from Omega. Omega would be the most gut-wrenching one. I mean, Hunter would be terrible, but, like, Wrecker, you've never really been concerned about in that regard. He always seems like he's stronger than pretty much anything. There's no way that something like that could tear him down. So, like, I'd be willing to
Mm.
bet that, he's just always so sweet and he's always so loving that if there's, like, Wrecker, I
No.
feel like is one of the easier deaths, to come by. But,
No. No. Pabu exists, which means there has to be okay. Fee still has not shown up. What the fuck? We were at Pabu. Where the fuck was Fee? A little pissed. But she's making it out. She's not dying. I was about to say
no,
there's other
no.
characters in the
I
show
think
that
she
can
made it
die.
out.
No, she's cool. Maybe she's off just collecting more.
Yeah, I'm like, I think she made it out. If we didn't see her this week, I don't think we see Fee again.
Was she in the trailer though? I thought I remember seeing her in the trailer for
Oh,
some
maybe
reason.
maybe. I don't remember her.
Maybe it was just me wanting to see her, but I don't know. Maybe she is just out. She brought him to Pabu and just cool, but like there's something there with Tech. Like they had a thing going on. Maybe she would. I feel like she'd be mourning him as well. Um, maybe that's how it slows down. Maybe they're like, hey, have you like? Maybe she's the one to be like, hey, have you done anything for Tech? Like, have you had any ceremonies or funerals?
Okay.
Um,
Apparently she was in the trailer. I forgot about that. But
okay, good.
so they'll go on some sort of Fee related adventure. I'm willing to bet. I
I need that.
am yeah, I need
I
that
need
too.
that.
Who knows? Maybe
Hatcher.
that's what infiltration and extraction is.
It is 2 episodes, right? Next,
Mhm.
we get both of them.
'Cause
Oh,
they're not finding Tantus yet. They said that this was like a step on the way to it.
yeah.
Um,
That could be bad. I don't know. 2 episodes coming out at once. That might mean something like big is happening. And
I mean, it's at least an arc. The other thing is that, like, um, they
infiltration and
they released it at a point when they wanted to finish it by May the 4th. And if you wanna do that, you have to do a couple
But why
like, when they
choose
release
these two? Infiltration, extraction. Are they
they could just,
too
they
just
just
kind of
go together.
filler-ish?
They could just
You
go well,
know?
and I'm not saying that they're filler, but I'm also not saying that they're like, "Oh, we're gonna fucking lose somebody." You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that they clearly go together, infiltration and extraction. They're probably just an easy one to pair up, you know what I'm saying? Regardless of the impact they have. Um,
Okay.
because 'cause I'd be willing like, right now, the way this episode ends, it's clear they're not going to Tantus. We're not infiltrating Tantus unless we do that at the it seems like the whole episode will be an infiltration, and then the next episode will be the getting out of wherever they infiltrated. Um,
Say it's Nalase's tablet that they have. Hemlock finds out, and Hemlock's like, "Oh, so you obviously helped her escape. You're no use to me anymore. Goodbye." And then Nalase sends like the last ditch. Here's the coordinates to Tantus. Here, come on. It could, or I don't know. Like, I feel like there's something that could happen
I could see that.
where the
I have a
infiltration and
tough time
extraction
fathoming.
is Tantus, but
Feels like it's gonna be a little more earned than that,
the
like, the
end of
way
the
that they're
episode
doing.
does kind of
Yeah,
lead.
like, "This is a good first step." Like, and it is, it's a good first step, but it would feel kind of like, "Oh, well, then what the fuck did we do last week for?"
Okay,
You
maybe it's
know?
just for more intel, but like that's all they've been. It seems that Tantus has been on. It's not like their main objective, but it's been on like the back burner. They're like, yeah, any intel we can get on Tantus, like we'll take. But
Mm.
because like Echo seemed to have, I don't know, is that like the idea that they've? I guess Echo's just kind of in the clone freeing business, like whatever.
Yeah, no, so, there is an episode at the end of season 2 where they intercept a shuttle that is going to Tantus,
And
where
they have to
they
debate whether sticking
oh, they
like it
say
in the data or
yes, and
whatever.
they try to,
Yeah.
but they already began wiping it, so they couldn't get all of it. So they didn't know where it was going, but we as the viewer knew it was going to
Mm.
Tantus.
Okay.
Um, so, like, that's so he's heard of Tantus, he knows there's something
Mhm.
big with clones going on there, and then they discover, there's a lot more clones there than we think. Um, yeah, I mean, like, I'd be willing to bet we get a big ol' team going. We'll get Rex in the mix, we'll get Fee in the mix. I'd be willing to bet Fee's a part of that, in Tech's
Yeah.
memory. So I think that we got a lot to look forward to, but, I thought this was a great little episode. I thought that it really just the character work in the Bad Batch is always so fulfilling. I loved Wrecker digging through the snow. That was so funny. His little
Oh, dude,
absolutely loved it.
Basher getting like I know that like his little growl and barks weren't the thing to send the worm away, and it was like the sensors that they turned back on, but in Batcher's mind,
Yeah,
he
he got a
thought
victory there.
like he really and he was like, "Yeah, that's right. Like you run away." Like
I
and
do.
I like I don't know. That was really cute, It's nice having an
Batcher and
animal.
Crosshair, really nice.
Yeah, like droids are nice. It's kind of like a pet replacement, and it depends on the droid. Like some of
Typically,
them are way more human-like, and some of them are way
yeah.
more
But, like,
pet-like.
BB-8, that's my little puppy,
Yeah, that's my little
Like, that's
dude.
the
Like and
yeah.
like B2, kind of in the middle. I don't know. He's kind of like a pet, but he's very sensitive and very
Oh, B2 emo, yeah.
yeah, my little so the droids are weird, but man, pets are so
'Cause the
nice.
the
Like,
ones who can speak are the ones that automatically become, like, not exactly pet-like,
mhm. Yeah,
Um,
and then, like, you don't want 3PO as, like, a pet,
no,
really,
3PO is a homie. Um,
L3, way more
BD
human.
BD1, Fallen Order, that's a pet, like, that's a pet homie for sure. So, like,
Yeah.
but that it is something that I've loved about this season is, like, have we ever really had an actual pet in our crew?
Like,
In
Rebels
any crew?
is, I think, the only thing to kind of come close, but it's never been in the crew. It's always just been, like, Loath Cats, and I guess Ahsoka, uh, Sabine has
Sabine
a
has
Loath
a low
Cat,
cat, but
and they
she's
they
used
did
in
release a
1 or 2
lo-fi
episodes.
yeah,
Yeah,
they do we do have a canonical Star Wars pet.
but it's
Um,
nice to have him, like, on the missions, and I
yeah.
love that he's, like, the de facto Omega. You remember in season 1, the thing that people always had issue with Omega was that she was always causing problems, and then everyone had to try and fix them. I like that she's still doing that, but it's for Batcher,
Mm.
like, they turned off the sensors so that Batcher wouldn't be irritated. Um
Oh, that's
You know,
right. There
there
was I guess they needed to divert power as well, right? They
there
needed
was more than that, but, like, Batcher was,
okay.
like, bothered by the high
That's
frequency
true.
sound,
They're
you know,
like,
and they were like,
okay,
"Oh, we ought
then.
to turn that off," you know,
Oh.
like,
Yeah, and he's kind of replacing Hunter a little bit as well.
yeah, right, like, he's got the hunting capability, yeah.
Yeah, like he's the one alerting them to be like, "What's wrong, buddy?" You know, like, "Oh, something's off." And Hunter used to be the one, "Uh-oh."
Well,
That's
there's a
signs to
really
lose Hunter, a little
mm,
bit, like,
well, I think it's more paralleling Crosshair and Hunter than anything. Hunter's not on top of his game with his abilities, it appears, you know? He doesn't
"Oh
detect
my
the worm,
god.
he doesn't feel it, he
You're
doesn't hear it
right.
coming. Yeah,
Crosshair, his shot is
his
fucked
shot's
up.
off,
Hunter's
yeah,
not known for his shot, he's known for
for
his. Oh my god,
sensing.
he's having the same shit.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh, wow.
and he
That
senses it a he senses some stuff in this episode, but it he's usually good even when he's distracted, like, even when he is discussing something with someone to go, like, "Hold on, like, there's something going on." But when he's talking to
wow.
Crosshair there, it's Batcher who has to be like, "Yo," and,
Oh
Hunter
my
looks at him
god.
and is like, "Oh, yeah, there's something coming," you know? So, like, I
Hmm,
think that they're definitely trying to create a little bit of a parallel there at the very least,
yeah.
because, I mean, Hunter I see us losing Hunter, I think that that's a distinct possibility, um,
Mm,
but I think that they're also setting up a future where Hunter and Crosshair are really, like, gonna have to be the only ones left, or Hunter's going to have to sacrifice his life to save Crosshair. I think that that's a possibility as well. Um,
I think a sacrifice play is just it's just in the cards,
yeah,
like,
yeah, that's the only
it
way that
is.
any of them die. I don't think any of them die meaninglessly. I don't think any of them die out of nowhere. I don't think we're gonna get a situation where, like, Wrecker's fucking talking to one of them, and then you hear, like, and, like, he just drops, like, that'd be fucking stupid. So, like, that's the thing is that all of them have earned a moment,
Yeah.
None of them are going to die out of nowhere. Um, so, like, and with that, it certainly means a sacrifice. Like, that's the
Mm,
only way that that sort of
yeah.
thing happens. Um,
Yeah, I guess
now
with this episode, there's not much more to go off of. There's not
no,
much more predictions or anything we can make. We
I
kind of
mean, we
stayed where we were. It's more internal
mhm.
conflicts that we're dealing with now.
I
Um,
would be willing to bet that we see Fee for the first time next
I
episode. I
hope.
think after this, they regroup at Pabu, they run into Fee, Fee gives them a mission, and that's what the infiltration and extraction thing is.
Oh, that could be so nice. Maybe Fee's just like, you know what? You guys can finally take a break. You know? Like, let's take a break. Let's go on a treasure hunt. And that's what this
Mhm.
infiltration and extraction is. We just have a nice, easy 2 episode Fee adventure.
It'd be
Uh,
nice. I'd be willing to bet there'd be a little bit more there, like it would have to be something that would also aid their
okay.
mission,
Turns out the
um,
relic is something that'll help them, blah, blah, blah.
or maybe
Or
they know of something they need and they enlist Fee's help, maybe,
mm,
maybe Fee
mhm.
doesn't come to them with an idea, they go to so, like, my thing is that since we kicked off this episode at Pabu and we left the outpost at the end of this episode, and they don't really have a next place to go,
They're
I'd
going
be
to
willing to
Pabu.
bet we're back at Pabu.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah,
yeah, so,
maybe all these monsters, I don't know. I wonder if that's, like, a connection at all that they'll make. Like, every place the Empire has had like, there is a monster that is kept, like, I don't know. Like, maybe the Empire didn't create this monster, maybe this is just native to the planet. They did just call it a worm. It seemed I don't know, maybe they were
I
just
mean,
calling it.
we've seen stuff like this before for sure.
Mhm. So it could just be native to the
This might
planet.
not even be the first one we've seen in the Bad Batch.
Yeah, they did just
Um,
straight up call it a worm, and they're like actively knowing what it was. So it could just be like that. But like definitely the weird ass vine monster or whatever, and then you have whatever the fuck is at Tantus, still that I don't think we know fully what's out there. It's I don't know. I feel like maybe that's a connection point possibly between all this stuff, like just clone DNA and wanting the best attributes from every species sort of thing to make the best host body sort of thing. I think maybe that could be.
Well, and that might be, we might be looking at a situation where because they pinged the Empire whenever they were here, the Empire goes there and they're like, "Oh shit, dope, giant worm. Let's go ahead and take that bad boy." Like maybe we
Mm,
can use that thing's DNA,
the
so,
water of
I think that
life.
there's certainly
Yeah,
yeah,
is they
there's
gotta
certainly
extract it.
something there. Um, but yeah, I think that when it comes to next week, I don't think we have a direct there's nothing that we can really directly go, "Oh, this is definitely happening next week."
Mm-hmm.
Because infiltration and extraction, what extraction implies is a need to be saved.
Mm-hmm.
Like an extraction operation, you're going in and you're taking something, but it could also be that once they're in there, something happens and they need a way out. They need an extraction, like
To
we
imply
need.
infiltration before though is like they. Oh, I guess I see what you're saying though. They could have.
Yeah, no, I'm saying, like, if they're gonna subvert expectations with what the
Mm.
extraction means, like,
Mm-hmm.
it feels very obvious, we get in, we get out, like, that's what infiltration and extraction is, but, the only time I've ever heard extraction expressly used in a mission connotation is whenever someone's like, "I need extraction," like, "I need to get out, I need
Mm.
help," um so, I think that I mentioned the possibility that a ship blows up. I think that maybe maybe we have to get Rex involved somehow. Maybe that's a possibility. Um,
Mm. Dude,
so
did Omega get one last sleep in the ship? Did she get? Was that the last one, man?
best sleep of her life. Probably not the last one, but it was nice to have a little home base again for a little bit, and maybe we get a little bit more travel in with infiltration, but um I still don't think that the Omicron is long for this world, um, or this galaxy, I should say. I think it's about done.
Oh,
Um,
man. Yeah, cuz and then we get into bad territory is after extraction. So, I feel like that's just maybe the start of a different arc, you know. It,
oh
it
yeah,
would
probably.
make sense that this would be the conclusion of an arc, infiltration extraction, and for right now, I'm just going to say a nice easy 2 episode fee adventure, and
I'm hoping so.
no one nothing bad will happen. That we will have a nice, if anything bad, it'll be a tech funeral, but that's not bad, that's good. I want that to happen.
Right.
So that's all that'll happen. That's my prediction. Everything's gonna be great.
Everything's
And
good.
no one's gonna die at all. I actually don't think. I mean, there is no way right now.
I mean, it'll probably like I think that it something will sneak up on us. I think that since we just got the reunion of the full batch, no, no, minus tech, of course. Um, but I think that it's just, obviously Tech died in the season finale of season 2, so you're kind of expecting something big there, but it still snuck up on you. It was like it didn't seem like we
Mm-hmm.
were about to lose somebody going into that situation, and then stuff kinda piles up and you're like, "Oh, no, we're all of a sudden in a
Mm.
situation where I think that somebody's gonna fucking die. How do they make it out of this?" So, like, that's the thing is those situations, they only get so much buildup, like
That's
those
true.
people don't typically go into a situation like,
I'm
at least the
going to
Bad
die
Batch.
today. Yeah, like
Yeah,
Tech didn't go
and
into
and
this
there's always
mission. Yeah.
danger, there's always danger in the stuff that they're doing, so maybe, but stuff sneaks up, it all of a sudden happens and someone's gone, and I don't think that happens next week. But I don't think we're too far out for something like that happening again. Um,
The extraction of Crosshair's inhibitor chip.
there you go.
Maybe a little too early, maybe for what we were thinking, but
I mean, I don't
maybe.
think so. I think that they could shorten that arc and make it really satisfying. I think that I mean, next week could be the Crosshair Hunter episode where they're basically, and this week was a good starting point for that, but I think that
Hmm.
next week maybe they have a little bit more alone time and they go at each other a little bit and then, you know, maybe that's the sort of vibe. But
Hmm.
yeah, no. Before we go further, I would like to do our plugs. If you would, head to patreon.com/pennybloom pod where you'll find over 50 hours of exclusive content, all sorts of book reviews, comic book reviews, movie reviews, and the like. Been writing a lot of movie reviews. And earlier this week, I published a review of Dune Part 2. It was a nice, quick, like 150 word review of the movie, a little more thoughtful than my Letterboxd review, where I was basically like, I love Zendaya, I love Rebecca Ferguson, I love, just like
Mm.
that kind of stuff. Um, but a little bit more thoughtful over on patreon.com/pennybloom pod. You can have access to all my written reviews for $1.50 a month. And so far this year, I've done a few. A few of the 2024 releases include Lisa Frankenstein, Drive Away Dolls, and Dune Part 2. I did a written review of All of Us Strangers, all that. And me and Joe have gone back and forth multiple times on audio recordings for that, and that's just random discussions. When I saw Poor Things, when I saw American Fiction, when Joe watched The Creator for the first
Mm.
time, so like a lot of stuff over on Patreon, mostly movie content. And the audio stuff is $3 a month, so you can find that there. Head to Twitter, follow at Penny Bloom Pod, follow on TikTok and Instagram at Penny Bloom Podcast. Follow on YouTube. Subscribe on YouTube. Look up Penny Bloom Podcast. You can watch us there. I'm wearing my Bad Batch headband, and I got a new T-shirt. I got the tech shirt going today.
Ooh, didn't
Um,
notice that.
Feeling good about it. And it's got little batch members down the side. Can't really see
Mm-hmm.
them, but because I got such long hair, it usually covers the T-shirt I'm wearing anyway. But I like to be in the spirit of things. Um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, if you go on YouTube, you can see all the decorations we got. I got the whole batch over here to my side. I got the Star Wars vinyl, Star Wars books. It's a lot of fun, and I change it up every week, so it's or every episode, so it's a lot of fun. But yeah, you can do all that. Leave a 5-star rate and review if you made it this far. I appreciate you so much. Thank you for listening. Remember to download the episodes. That means a great deal. Um, and yeah, but yeah, we can get back to it. Any what else is there? I just wanted to I didn't think that we were necessarily nearing the end or
Mm-hmm.
anything. I was just like, that felt like a good time to go ahead and do plugs. Um, I think that there's a great deal of potential for what the next episodes could be. I mean, again, the animation was astounding. The Kiner
Mm.
score was brilliant. Um, I
Mm.
thought that D. Bradley Baker did a really good job for all the clones this week. I feel like
I always take him
he
for
got to really
granted
dig in.
now,
I do too.
man.
I do too.
It is crazy that is one dude, doing that all, and man,
I need
yeah.
more of them just hanging out on Pabu. I love whenever they're
We didn't get to see I think we got the name drop, of them, but who?
Shep.
Yeah, is that like the just the kind of
That
their
was
leader?
the
They're
big
like
old
they're
guy who was like, "What's
yeah,
up, guys?" I
like
mean,
it.
like, yeah.
So he's just giving everyone food. Is the idea like
Mhm.
it was like, oh, it's obvious that he found you or whatever. Like
Yep,
whenever,
Shep and
yeah,
Liana came through, they heard
that's
about your return, they're
man, that's
excited.
Pabu just is the place to be. If you're
I
there,
love
you get
the
fed.
costume design on Pabu. I loved Omega's whole like, she had that
Mm,
necklace and
mm-hmm.
she like, I love Omega's hair. Absolutely adore his hair. I love what she's doing with it.
The
Um,
headbands, it's coming her way, dude. You're
yeah,
maybe
it's going there.
maybe she doesn't get hunters. Maybe that's not the first time she wears a headband. Maybe she wears one to like I don't know, like honor him or like
Emulate him.
yeah, just be like,
Yeah,
hey, like she comes out like gives him a look and I don't know. It could be
ties
sick.
it up.
Um,
I'd like it if she did like I don't know, a different color. I feel like the whole green, blue, teal aesthetic that Pabu kinda comes with for her really works for her. I think it looks good. Um, I think that would be. I think that she had like a little blue headband. I think that'd be fun. I'd like that a lot. But yeah, no, I think
Mm.
that she's Omega's still my favorite Bad Batch character, man. She brings such a heart to the show. She brings the whole show together. She brings every character in the show together. And I think that this episode just kind of hammered that home. Um,
Did you notice that
I
she's
love
kind of the tech replacement as well? Like, Wrecker,
Mhm.
now, hey, this should be up to your right. Just flip that switch.
Yeah.
Do this now.
Tech
Like, flip,
doing all the
like,
teaching of her really paying off.
yeah,
Uh,
man, dude, this show is just so beautiful. Like, it's crazy how good this
yeah.
show is, and it's sad that people will just blow it off simply because it's animation, and I don't know. It is really sad, but I don't know. At least I feel like my family's always a good kind of bearing on where the general audience is because they like Star Wars, but they're not like super
They're not
into it
us.
where they're gonna watch everything that comes out. And I we were bowling the other day, and I told them, I'm like, hey, so like you guys watching Bad Batch season 3? And they were like, oh shit, that's out right now. And I'm like, yeah, the first 3 episodes dropped. We even got episode 4, and they're like, oh shit. They're like, when I get home, I'm watching that. So
Cool.
I
That's
think
cool.
it's at least it's not in the front brain, but like at least
Mhm.
if you maybe if you're reminded of it,
No,
it's
it's
like, oh
enticing.
damn,
It's
that's good.
good,
That's a good
man.
show. So at least if you've seen it, it's
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 officially
good.
like the first 3 episodes came out, and I was immediately like, I think this is my favorite Star Wars animation. I love Rebels. I love Rebels dearly.
Ooh,
Um,
ooh,
I think this is my favorite Star Wars animation, though. And the
shit.
thing is that I think this is a top 2 Star Wars show with Andor,
It's tough to beat. Yeah, tough to beat the
and the
king.
top 3 Star Wars shows are Andor, The Bad Batch, and Rebels. So, that's why I never want people to be dismissive of animation or Star Wars animation specifically, because we've gotten The Mandalorian, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Ahsoka,
Think
all these
Rebels is
live
better
action
than
shows.
Mando season 1?
The full fucking run? Yeah.
Oh, the full run. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Oh, okay. So, I guess you can really only compare the full runs, but cut season 3 off of Mando.
Like, if they'd cut season 3 off Mando and they'd had the balls to conclude the story there, which they were never gonna do, maybe. But even then, the 4 seasons we got of Rebels, I mean,
Yeah,
that's a
I'm
pretty good
not
fucking
complaining
show, man.
about any one of those
Yeah.
seasons, I guess.
Yeah,
So,
exactly, like,
okay.
even with season 3 of Mando, like, that's my thing is that, like, even with just the first 2 seasons of Mando, I still don't know that I'd put it above Rebels. Um,
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think they're more on like equivalent kind of footing, like the first 2 seasons in Rebels. I think overall, like you're right. Like when you're
mhm.
comparing the overall shows, I think I would put Rebels above. But singular season, that like Mando season 1's like pretty, like I don't know.
That's a
That was and
signature
also a moment. The
signature.
first live action show, it was a whole
Mhm,
different thing. Pedro Pascal was a lot of things going for it. Baby Yoda, you know.
mhm.
Um, but no,
Yeah,
I
no, Mando
think
season 1 was special, it was a moment, to be sure. I think that, but the further
Snoke.
I get removed from it and not to like, I've revisited The Mandalorian, like, ahead of season 3, and I was reminded just how good season 1 was, and I love season 2. I know a lot of people think that it's
Mhm.
a step down, but I don't really think it's that big of a step down. I think it's a really good pair with season 1. I just think that, from a narrative, uh having a spine narratively,
I see.
like,
Oh yeah.
having the balls to know when your story is over, which it was after
Mhm.
season 2. Now, I know that they're gonna like, they had every opportunity to tell a new story with Grogu later on. I like Din, and if you're like, "I wanna keep Pedro Pascal around, so maybe we can do something else," then, let him take off his fucking helmet and let Pedro Pascal do the acting. You know?
Yeah, a lot of
I love Brendan Wayne, I think he does a really good job in the suit, and we've learned that in season 3, Pedro Pascal was literally never there.
That's so sad.
He yeah,
Yeah.
he was literally never there, which, I mean, that falls on Pedro a bit, it falls on Favreau a bit, like, the fact that we felt the need to continue the story in a way that was, like, kinda senseless, you know? Like, we're like, "Okay, well, let's reunite them in the Book of Boba Fett, let's reunite them in this little one-episode arc in a different show, and then we'll,
Man,
uh"
we were confident that he was gonna remove his helmet. We were like, "So when is it gonna happen?" We're like, "So, it's gotta be coming soon, right?" And then, like, as the season goes on, we're like, "Yeah, I don't think we're getting that. I think they're going down a completely different road." Yeah, crazy how that show
and
ended up,
so,
but
it just
the
it's just a different thing, you know?
this
Like, it
is
felt
2,
like,
though. Like, I mean, that's like Andor is comfortably 1, this is comfortably 2, and then I
mm.
think I overall, Rebels pretty comfortably 3. Mando gives it a run for its money, maybe at the beginning. Um, I need to revisit Obi-Wan. That's the one show I kind of, I don't think I gave
Obi-Wan's good. I
good
like
enough.
Obi-Wan.
I don't know. I
Um,
think I just had the wrong mindset for some reason, when I was watching it. I
yeah,
don't know
whenever we
why.
talk about Obi-Wan, it's always interesting to think about, like, uh I mean, they built up stuff quite a bit, you know, they talked about, like, the rematch of the century and shit like that, so it's like, you know, it's Darth Vader, it's Obi-Wan Kenobi, it's the prequel trilogy babies are gonna be nostalgic as all shit for it, but, I liked it a lot, you know, when it comes to Star Wars TV, you know, beyond, you know, what we've listed, you got Ahsoka, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Resistance, Clone Wars, the Book of Boba Fett, um like, it's probably 4 or 5 there, you know?
Mhm.
But,
Yeah. But man,
no,
we're
yeah.
comfortably number 2 with Bad Batch, which is
Mm.
which is crazy because number 1 is
Andor.
kind of unfair.
Getting a, getting a
Um,
physical steelbook 4K release, by the way. Imma pick
mm,
that shit up, coming out at the end of
yeah,
April. Very excited for that. So is Obi-Wan Kenobi. Um,
mm, that'll
so, yeah, and I liked, they put that shit to bed. Andor is season 1 4K. Um, Obi-Wan Kenobi is the complete series 4K. Um, so just
no.
they're not bringing that back.
Oh
Uh,
no, because there was some recent kind of talk, and like Ewan
yeah,
McGregor was like,
there was
"Yeah,
some hype
I'd
around
be
it,
down to do another one." And I'm like, "Oh, cool. We might be getting
and I
another
don't
new
think
one."
that the packaging on a physical release is necessarily final fucking say or anything, you
Hmm.
know, like, if they're real desperate one day, they'll go with Obi-Wan Kenobi 2. You know, I don't even think they'll market it as, like, Obi-Wan Kenobi season 2. It'll be like Kenobi 2, you know, like the sequel. Um,
Damn. Yeah.
yeah,
Huh.
Obi-2 Kenobi, you know?
Yeah. I guess Andor season 2 is actually confirmed, and a trailer
Yeah,
is out, and like so that probably helps a whole lot. But
hey,
that
I
does
love
sting
the
a little
Bad
bit. But
Batch. I love the Bad Batch, and I'm hoping, though I love the Rebels too. I'm hoping the Acolyte shakes up my top 2. I'm
hmm,
hoping it does, and I think I have an unreasonable amount of hope that it will.
I
Um,
like it. I'm open.
I'm excited. I'm
That is
excited.
for sure. I'm open. I
But,
need.
yeah, man, I think that this was another good one. It was another great episode of The Bad Batch. This little family is wonderful. I absolutely love them, and,
Mhm.
yeah, man, I can't wait. I can't wait for the rest of this show to unfold and see where it goes, but, any last thoughts here?
I don't think so. I think we hit everything. Nice, easy
Alright.
episode.
It was. It was nice.
Mhm.
It was simple. It was straightforward, but yeah, with that, I think we will conclude this episode of Rebellions Bloom on the Bad Batch. We'll be back next week with that double episode release, Infiltration and Extraction,
Mhm.
episodes 6 and 7 of season 3. Very, very excited. But in the meantime, we will be continuing our Game of Thrones rewatch next Monday, picking it up after a week off with the season 8 premiere. And I'm so very excited as we are getting so fucking close to finishing that shit.
Mhm.
Um, we are almost there. I'm so excited. Um, it's bringing me a great deal of joy that a project we've been doing since October of 2022 is finally nearing an
Damn.
end. Um,
Phew.
I mean, we've been covering the Bad Batch since summer 2021. So we've been at that shit for some time.
Hmm.
So it's cool that we're getting the last season of the Bad Batch alongside the last season of Game of Thrones, some long range projects for the show. Very fun. I love doing that. But in between those, on Wednesdays, we're currently doing our actors spotlight on Dev Patel in
Mhm.
anticipation of Monkey Man coming out April 5th. We got 5 movies lined up in anticipation. Earlier this week was the first episode of that project, Last Airbender, and next week will bring us Chappie, the Neil Blomkamp directed sci-fi flick starring Hugh Jackman, Dev Patel, and Sigourney Weaver. We already recorded our episode on that one, and
Yeah. It's
it's a
starring Dev
movie,
Patel.
certainly a movie.
That's for
It's
sure.
starring Dev Patel.
Um,
Love Dev Patel. Dev Patel's the shit. So got that on Wednesdays and several weeks to come. Uh, but yeah, man, that's what we're doing for the next several weeks. Bad Batch, Thrones, and Dev Patel. And it's a lot of fun. So stick around, and we're lucky to have you. But
mhm.
yeah, with that, I was Colton Robertson. I was joined by Joseph George. Thank you very much, homie.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure to be here.
Oh, and it's always a pleasure to have you. And remember, peace, love, and bloom, and always praise the bad bitch.